Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Baxter?
Present.
Vice Mayor Woodward?
Here.
Commissioner Flores? Commissioner Marino? Commissioner Powell? Commissioner Sacks? Commissioner Weiss?
Here.
Thank you. Thank you. If you're able, please rise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Dear God, we are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Administrator, do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
We do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. On page 1, item B is deleted. On page 2, 3B1 is a revised motion title and summary. And on page 2, 3B1 is also a revised motion and summary. That is it, Madam Mayor.
I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 6-0, and please let the record reflect that Commissioner Powell is here. We will take the regular agenda item first. Do we have any cards? Okay, perfect. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
I guess I'm a little lost because we are removing item 4B, which is the Palm Tran budget review. It's the first I'm hearing about it when I got here this morning. And as I look in the crowd, I see a lot of people that have made the trek here this morning to speak on this item. But yeah, we're not gonna be speaking about it. So, why is this item being? It already got pulled, but being pulled this morning. It wasn't notified to the public that way. And basically, what I'm seeing in the crowd is people with disabilities who made it here this morning to speak. I'm assuming it's to speak on this item. But getting here for them is not easy. So I'm trying to understand why we waited until the 11th hour to pull this item when we might have been able to do it last night and notified the public.
Commissioner Flores, just for the record, we do not allow comments on workshop items, and Palm Tran is a workshop item. So when people come, we love to see people, but they are not allowed to comment for workshop items. And Commissioner Marino had requested that this get moved so when she could come back, and she wanted to be able to give input, and I didn't see a problem with that. So
And we should have notified yesterday, not today.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized. Did you want to speak to the agenda item?
I did.
Okay.
3A1, I wanted to go ahead, and this is the warrant backup list from the clerk and controllers to approve that.
Second. This is just for the agenda item. If you,
Matt,
I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss. I have a second by Vice Mayor Woodward for the agenda item, but I have a feeling we have more comments in regarding the previous topic. Commissioner Sacks, you're
Thank you very much. I have a suggestion. Since people can't give comments on agenda items that are in workshop, and many of these folks have come and they have, obviously they're here to show their support for an issue that is on the agenda on Palm Tran, maybe we could at least have them record their names without giving any comment, which is not allowed on a workshop. But they've traveled here. I see that they're here. I see that many are handicapped. And I'm, just a suggestion, that maybe they could just state their name or put a card in with their name so that they make their presence known today, that they came here on an issue that is of importance to the public. Could we, maybe I could make a motion on that, Mayor, so at least we could get the fact that they're here, their presence will be noted, and that way we can.
Commissioner
allow
Sachs, we've
everybody.
already voted on to pull the item, and so there's nothing for them to speak on.
No, they're not going to speak. But could we at least allow them to put, if we could pass cards out and just submit a card that they were here and to have their presence noted for the record?
If they, absolutely, like a non-speaking card, if
Absolutely,
they would like to
whatever.
submit a card and let everyone know they were here and for the record, absolutely.
Okay, I appreciate that. And would you like to make that announcement as mayor that they
So
could
if
do
you are
that?
here to speak, or if you'd like to give input on the Palm Tran workshop item, I would ask that you please fill out a card, and just whatever you note in the comments, we will make a record and file it with the clerk.
I appreciate that. And maybe, Mayor, since some of them may be difficult to get up to get the cards, if our staff could pass cards around, and that way, in a pen, and that way they could make their presence noted on the record that they were here.
Great idea, Commissioner Sachs. Thank you so much. Administrator Abruzzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For Commissioner Flores and Commissioner Sachs and the board, we were notified at administration a little past 8 o'clock this morning that Commissioner Marino had a serious family matter. I don't want to divulge her personal information, but it was very serious. So I promise you, commissioners, would never pull an item like that last minute. This item is meant for us staff. We requested this to get direction on one of the most important parts of our budget. So we do need a full, in my opinion, 7 members to address this issue. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a motion and a second on our agenda item. We already did. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 6-0. That was for 3A.
3A1.
1. We have 3B1. Does anyone need a presentation for this? To approve 3B1? I have a motion by Commissioner Flores,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Powell. All in favor?
Jen, I had a question.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
I did just have a question. I got the graphic with the park on here. Just, could you explain what that is? I think the public might want to know too, and I'm not sure I completely understand what the little mini park is. The rest of it, second reading, we're good. Just this part. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joanne Keller with the Engineering Department. I'm going to ask Casey Franken, our Streetscape Manager, to come explain. We have a picture on the screen of our safety town, which will be included in the application if approved today. Oh, sorry. Do you have a microphone?
Good morning. I'm Casey Prankin. I'm a registered landscape architect and the streetscape manager with Engineering and Public Works. A little bit about Safety Town. It is 2 things. It is 1, a physical location, and 2, a nationally recognized program that teaches children all about roadway safety amongst other safety issues. The programming aspect represents a cross-departmental partnership amongst county departments, and the physical location, when it's not being used for programming, can be utilized as a play space. I would love to see one in every commission district. This originated decades ago back in Mansfield, Ohio, where I was born. I was a graduate from Safety Town, and it's something I've just always fondly remembered, and I just would love to see it part of Palm Beach County for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up on this, it was very interesting. Is this something that, I guess, like children are brought to, showing how to use intersections, what a crosswalk is, just a little bit of information for, because the picture, it looks nice, but you really have to zoom in to understand. There's even a railroad crossing here. This is teaching children how to be in the real world.
That's
right?
correct. It is a real mini streetscape. This image is from down in the city of Sunrise, a project Safety Town that they built down there. So this is one example of what a safety town could look like, but it does include typically a real railroad crossing, crosswalks, signage, a street light. They learn all about bicycle safety, how to properly go directionally on the
Excuse me
roadway.
1 second. If those in the audience would please try to keep it down so we can hear. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Well, I like your idea of getting one of these and all across the county for multiple schools to be able to use this and children. So thank you. It was a happy addition.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that the motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 3C1, fire rescue. Does anyone need a presentation? I will entertain a motion.
They need direction.
They need direction.
They need
Well, I guess we need a presentation. Good morning. Chief? Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Do you need, we went through the presentations. I can just give you our, what we would like direction on, or do you want to go to the presentation?
Please? Well, make it like streamlined and then just ask
So-
point
so-
blank, what do you need from us?
So pretty much, as discussed in our meetings, we put out an RFI after the last directions that we met with you on the collection fees,
For the public, an RFI is a request for information.
request for information, and we met with two vendors. One of them is our current vendor, Valley, which we use for our collections on our other departments that we use. And for this side of the house, we met with Checkmark as well. Our recommendation of what we decided to do is to do a pilot program and go 50-50 with both carriers to try to utilize them and try to collect the fees on both sides of the house and see where it goes. The collection averages of collection is about 10%. We spoke to other counties, we spoke to Orange County, and that's what's being done across the board. So while we do that and give an option for both parties to try to collect at 50-50 of the collection fees, we will put it out for an RFN for the public while we do the
Request
current process. For negotiation, request for
Thank you.
negotiation, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Just, when people
Yes.
listen, we are so used to speaking in
Yes, you
letters.
got it. Request for negotiation.
Thank you.
On both.
So we're going to move forward with your recommendation then. The motion by Vice Mayor Woodward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Weiss. Are there any, Commissioner Flores, you're recognized?
Thank you for the presentation. Yesterday, we had a discussion regarding people with financial hardship and creating a program where if there is financial hardship, they could apply.
Yes,
My understanding is that we get about 10 calls a year.
yes,
So I think it's manageable, and that's going to be something that it's going to be included in this.
absolutely. We make currently, we already do make payment plans for those people or do what we need to do to assist them.
Okay, so that's going to be
Part
in
of
the
the
process.
Yes, sir.
So how do these agencies that you're going to do the pilot program with, are they trained to say if there is financial hardship?
There's request of documents that we haven't provided.
The
Yes,
process is fine with me. It's
Yes,
just
there
that
is.
they're going to, if there is financial hardship, they will guide them on what they need to do.
yes, sir.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that the motion carries 6-0. Thank you, everyone. That is it for our regular agenda. We will move on to the workshop. And we will hear on Parks capital bonds. Good morning. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for speaking on this very important topic, Parks Capital Bonds, this morning. I'm Jennifer Cirillo, the Director of Palm Beach County Parks and Recreation. With me at the table is Tammy Fields, Deputy County Administrator, Bob Hamilton, our Director of Parks Planning and Development, Becky Schnerman, our Director of Parks Finance and Support Services. On this side, Mark Braun, who's our County Debt Manager, and Sherry Brown, our Director of the Office of Financial and Budget Management and Budget. I always switch those last two letters, OFMB. Okay, we can get our presentation up. There we go. So as you're aware, the county's park system is a CAPRA accredited agency recognized nationally for excellence in management. We had more than 22 million visits last year alone in 2025, and our 110 parks and facilities are well loved by the community. Parks and recreation facilities are essential infrastructure. They're an economic engine, driving visitation to beach parks, sports tourism, and nature, cultural and historic park destinations, and they're impactful, increasing property values by up to 20% when near a well-maintained park. Parks are leaders in our preventative health care and preventative juvenile justice system. They're important to reduce social isolation, improve public safety, and for stormwater management. And they are where leadership, teamwork, and problem-solving skills are built by those children. We were talking about that safety town, and we're going to talk about a partner project to that in a little bit. Parks and public spaces are high-performing infrastructure assets, typically generating approximately a 5-to-1 return on investment through economic activity, health savings, and increased property values. The Parks and Recreation Department is fiscally responsible and accountable, and for fiscal year 2027, we have identified an operational ad valorem budget cut to lower our funding consistent with the small gap between our budget and our actual expenses that you can see here in the chart at the bottom for those watching at home as well. At the budget retreat, OFMB shared that we have more than $1.2 billion in capital budget needs, however, over the next 10 years, a figure that was shared with the TBD, or to be determined, note at that time, and that is what we are here to workshop with you today. Routine small repairs and renovation work throughout the park system is funded by $30 million in ad valorem capital annually, but that is not enough to keep pace with the needs. Here you will see the previous significant investment the public has made via voter-approved Parks and Recreation General Obligation Bonds, or GO bonds. Although we have not passed a GO bond to fund Parks and Recreation capital since 2006, the need is greater than ever. To sustain the park system built with these bonds, all previous bond debt service has been paid off by this point. And we did have an infrastructure surtax that was passed by the voters in 2016 as well. So our capital funding has shifted over the last 20 years from bonds, GO bonds, that were leveraged with impact fees, and they funded the largest portion of our capital program. So this chart shows two different 5-year time periods. So for example, on the left, from 2005 to 2009, we had the bond proceeds that were matched with impact fees and some ad valorem capital and our grants. And then if you look at the 5 columns on the right, that shifted to the infrastructure sales surtax passed by voters in 2016. But with it ending, our capital program will be very underfunded, and the need for another publicly supported Parks and Recreation bond does exist. So major capital project needs include large-scale modernization of our facilities, including our sports complexes that were largely built in the 1980s and 1990s, shoreline stabilization, large accessible playground replacements with more shade countywide, mutual use improvements to school sports facilities, achieving efficiencies when our departments work together, as well as new district parks and a beach park development and land acquisition to keep pace with our population growth, fulfilling our parks master plan through 2035. And all three of the columns on this slide are consistent with our master plan and can be cross-referenced with that master plan available on our website at pbcparks.com. That level of service is important. And last but not least, we have a need, and this dovetails with the tourism master plan, for large sports tourism facilities that also serve our local public needs, specifically a large indoor field house in our county and a large multipurpose sports field complex with a stadium field in our county. So in slide 7, we start to get into a draft list of projects that are needs. And for public transparency, we put together this list to share with you today to get your feedback. These are all park capital needs, and there are certainly other needs, but this list of projects largely addresses the categories that were shared in the last slide. As we work through the project slides, the green shading represents priority projects for us, or things that we feel on this list should be accomplished in the next 4 to 5 years. The blue represents mutual use school sports field improvement opportunities we feel at high schools and middle schools.
Excuse me, Jennifer.
Yes.
Just because this is getting a little lengthy. A couple point questions before we get past this. Have any of the previous bonds that you were discussing, are they all paid off?
They're all paid off, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there are no current bonds, but historically throughout the county, we've done bonds to, put some of the priorities for the residents forward.
Correct.
And so these
There are other bonds, all the parks and recreation bonds. I just want to clarify, I apologize.
Yes.
All the parks and recreation bonds are paid off, yes.
And the list we're going through now is the list of current projects that we fund through the
These are-
county, or is this what you're requesting for a new bond?
This is what I'm requesting for a new bond. These are all unfunded projects.
That's what I was asking.
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So the next few slides are broken down by district. Again, the green would be things that...
Excuse me, Jennifer. Vice
Yes.
Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Sorry, what are the white ones?
The white, we would not recommend be in the first 4 years, but there's still needs. So that's what we're looking for your direction. If you'd prefer some of those be swapped out priority-wise. They're all needs. Everything on the list is a need. We just wanted to get to a reasonable number to bond, and so staff is recommending the green projects, but that doesn't mean they couldn't switch. Okay. Thank you. Mayor, any additional questions?
No?
Okay.
Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. And the blue is mutual use school recreation facility improvements that we feel could be made at middle school or high schools in each of the districts. As we move through, you'll see each of the commission districts represented as well. We do have the peach color that is land acquisition, but we totaled that at the end. We do have a need through our master plan to acquire additional parkland, which is not an easy task. I know in speaking to some of you, the question is kind of where, right? But to have that funding and to move on it when it's a possibility, we feel is important. The school facilities really do allow us to increase our parkland, accessible parkland, without a super heavy capital investment. We don't have to build a new park, but we can get access. But we do need some acquisition funding as well. And then as we move through, I know each of you have this in front of you. District 5 and 6 are on the next slide as well. And then the last slide does have countywide needs that we talked about. So land acquisition, that is not included in the bond amount at this time, but there is a need for it. I just want to make you aware as we workshop this item. We did a countywide trail and pathway connectivity. Again, that's partial funding. We would leverage all this money with grants, with other funding sources that are available to us. So you will see some of the projects just have a phase. It would not be the total funding for that project, but again, it would be a phase as we continue to move forward with our capital program and fund it. So we have countywide trail connections and then also countywide shade structure expansion. Shade would be baked into some of these other projects already, but these would be standalone shades at areas where we don't have it, and that is the number one need that the public tells us, beach access and shade in our needs assessment and in our master plan. So it's important to note that the acquisition funding opportunities for partnership, again, may exist to expand publicly accessible park spaces. But when we look at this total, so this total list of capital needs of that 1.2 billion we said we have, and we're paying as we go 30 million a year, this list of major capital projects is just under $680 million. But if we take out the land acquisition, it comes down to $525 million. And if we just look at those green shaded projects, we feel that's a much more manageable number to bond over time, and that's $275 million. So I think it's important to note, because a library bond's being discussed as well, that a parks bond is countywide. Everybody contributes. A library bond is just the library taxing district. So bonding would not occur all at once, but rather over time. And if we did $275 million, that would be $4.72, so under $5 per $100,000 of taxable value per year, $4.72. And my colleagues from OFMB are much more well-versed on the bond funding and debt service, so if there are any additional questions, we would be happy to take them. The BCC direction today is what we're looking for. Next steps, if we do decide to move forward with bond funding as we've funded our park system capital in the past, it would come back for a BCC resolution. I believe June 9th is the date we're targeting for that, along with the library bond language. Again, they have to be separate because they're different taxing districts. But then the bond ballot language would be submitted by the deadline, and then the public would vote on this matter in November. And that's it. That concludes my presentation. We'd be happy to take questions or receive any direction from you today. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. First, let me thank you, Jennifer, and your team. You have produced some of the best parks I think that we have in the state, really. And you're very receptive to our phone calls on what we can do to improve. What would you say is the number one issue that people ask about for our parks? And I know the answer, but let's see if it's the same as yours.
Well, Commissioner, I know you know the answer to this. There's a couple. Shade is number one.
Shade.
And then sports field access,
Right.
and not
Now-
being able to get a tee time at the golf course. Those are probably our top three,
Right.
but yeah.
At tea time is important. But let's go back to the number one issue for shade. And I think that this can be handled in a way, and you and I have discussed this at some length, and I appreciate it. But can we not just build the parks so that if there's existing native trees to keep them, and if they're not, that we can't at least put native trees that are a little larger than, my grandson, so that it's going to be in my lifetime that we'll have shade from these trees. What do we need to do to make that happen?
Yes, Commissioner, that is feasible. The mature trees do cost more money, so Canyon District Park is a great example. We're reinvesting another $100,000 into mature trees at that site, so that they look like they are fully grown from day one, because often we're increasing our tree canopy quite a bit, especially with community greening, but the caliber of the trees is quite small, so it would take time for the park system to really see that shade. And what's that quote? You plant a tree knowing you may never enjoy the shade, and
I think that was a Chinese.
That's what we're
Not from Minnesota, certainly. But
yeah. So
let me interrupt you. The Bert Aronson Park
yes.
is a huge park. It's beautiful. Big issue is lack of shade. Now, can we not get some of our folks, and I've spoken to some of our farmers, to contribute large shade trees as long as we can pick them up and plant them? But they have large live oak, and I know you don't like mango, but
I like mango, just not in our playground areas.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to mow, I think, once the fruit gets, but whatever our green people say, but if we can get our farmers to give contribute large shade trees. We put a little plaque, thank you very much to so-and-so. Would your team consider that?
Absolutely. We would
Good.
love donations, yes.
Okay, I'll talk to you about it, because that's the number one issue I hear, is shade.
Yes.
And it's expensive to put those big sails out.
It is, then that's one of the lines we have in here is specifically for additional shade.
expensive,
But if
right.
we can get donations, that would be amazing. Yes.
Okay. In the meantime, I think that you and I are on the same page when it comes to the number one issue that we have. Thank you so much, Jennifer, thank you.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much for the presentation. Since we had an opportunity to meet in my office, I had a conversation with the folks over at Mounts Botanical Garden, and I shouldn't say obviously because it's not obvious, but we treat Mounts differently than we do Murakami, and I'm not sure, I know some of the history of that, but what they indicated to me was that they're working on expanding their offerings over there. And for all intents and purposes, they operate like a park does for our community. They provide educational programming for our students as well as housing IFAS over there as well. But they had indicated that they actually have a need for $5 million to match with a $5 million that they're raising to improve what's happening over there. Is there a way to have that included in this?
That would certainly be at the board's direction. I would defer to the administrator. They're not organized in our capital program. Similarly, as is not, even though has natural lands that are visited by the public, their capital is separate, but it would be at the pleasure of the board. And we would have to
If they're not able to
reflect
raise,
that in the bond
if they're not able to raise the $5 million, then we wouldn't be under any obligation to send it over to them.
Previous bond agreements have had, or previous bonds that are approved by the board have had agreements with other entities to fund them. But again, the bond language would just need to capture whatever the board directed.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Great job, team, by the way. I enjoyed this. I love learning about our parks systems. And I genuinely believe that this is one of those hidden gems in our entire community where it's very utilized. I know the parks in my district are very utilized. I know Kahili, which is technically outside of mine, it's also very utilized. Whether it's soccer or baseball, it's always being used. A couple of points that I wanted to make. You said you're constantly looking for land, but I know that we have put a lot of land in or reserved land into and I think at some point there was discussion up here of making some of those areas into passive parks. Are you guys exploring that? Because I know that we have since I've been on the dais, we have put a lot of land into some of those restrictions through Are we able to utilize some of those lands to make passive parks where people can go walk, hike, whatever?
You mean active?
Is that active?
No, so I'm sorry, are you done, Commissioner? I didn't mean to interrupt. Okay. So we have not explored including them in our parks level of service in the comp plan. The natural areas currently do function as passive parkland that people can go and hike and explore and bird watch and do all kinds of stuff. I think when we look at acquisition, we have a dire need for active uses, to the mayor's point, which the things that the plan unit communities are not building are sports fields and beaches. They don't have those resources. We've talked about OHV trails and things that the communities don't have, but the passive lands are available through right now. They just have not been considered in the comp plan as part of the park department, again, through an organizational structure. But they do exist, and our natural lands program is very well run, and they're accessible to the public currently.
Okay, when you say they're accessible, are they being advertised as like a park?
Yes, and I defer, I think Deb is here, but they're not advertised as a park, but the Natural Lands, and they have Adventure Awaits series, and they do advertise them as publicly accessible, and I don't know if you'd like Deb
So
to
are they like in
address
two
that.
separate locations at the county?
They run separate locations, their natural areas program, yeah, so like Dyer
Is there
Park.
anywhere that it's all listed together? Like if you're in the public and you're searching for things to do, are they gonna see parks and they're gonna see this areas or no?
No, we could probably do a better job of listing them together, to your point, yes. They'd have to go to our two different areas of the webpage. It's all there, but it's not, I don't think, on one list that I'm aware of.
And if you don't mind, a quick question in that, is there clearly marked areas for them to enter, to the commissioner's point, and to
Yeah.
exit?
Yes. So Dyer Park's a really good example. It's right next to a very large natural area, and the public can visit both, again, free, affordable access. They just happen to be next to each other, but it is well-marked, yeah.
Deb, would you like to comment?
Hi, good morning. Deb Drum, Director of I just wanted to clarify that, yes, we also have distinct areas of entry, parking, designated parking areas that are advertised on our website. The parking lots are geo-referenced, so somebody can put it in their phone, the name of the natural area. We ensured that those geo-reference points are correct because some of them are remote. And so, yes, there is signage, there are kiosks, there are maps, all of that is available both online and on-site at our sites.
Is it being advertised together? Like if you go to one site, do you find the others? And if you go to the other site, do you find the other department?
Commissioner, we could add on both of those websites links to the other website so that would be something easy to accomplish.
I think so. I think when people are looking for things to do, if they end up at your page,
Yes.
we should either reference or show that there's some other parks, passive parks that are available
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, great.
And then my last comment regarding Commissioner Weiss's comments regarding the Mounts Botanical Garden, it was very interesting that we treat it differently. Could you explain to me why we treat it differently and what source of funding are they using?
I don't actually know the history of why it was organized the way it was. It is part of cooperative extension, and I don't know if Ron Rice has any of that history as well. They do have, very similar to Commissioner Weiss's point, they do have a nonprofit that works with them, similar to the way the Murakami works with us. But I don't have the history on why Mounts was organized in a different department. I don't know, Administrator, if you want to speak to that at all.
So-
Ron is here. He probably knows. It has some connection to the University of Florida and the.
So I can give a little background. Really, the Mounts Botanical Garden does go back to the early days of the creation of the Extension Department in Palm Beach County, where Red Mounts, our first agriculture extension agent, who then became our first director of the Extension Department many years ago, decades ago, had played around with fruit trees and different turf grasses and did demonstrations for the public. A lot of it was wanting to do nutrition education with fruit trees, but this just evolved organically over time and just became a more landscape type garden over the decades. And then with the advent of the Friends of the Mounts Botanical Garden, the nonprofit that supports the expansion and the enhancement of the garden for the benefit of our citizens. It's evolved very rapidly into a very well landscape garden that you know today. But that's the background history, and it does start with IFAS because that was the University of Florida program in the early days.
So do we have a plan for the Mounts Botanical Garden? Or is this going to be left by the wayside into the past? Okay, well, and the reason I'm asking is because if there's no plan for it, I think it should be incorporated into the park system. I don't know what that would require. I don't know if there's legalities that are involved. I'm not asking for an answer today. I'm just saying that it might make sense, especially if they're willing to put $5 million and we make a $5 million investment. That's a $10 million investment total. It might behoove us to incorporate that into this plan so that and by the way, that's not in my district. Is that your district? Okay, it's Commissioner Weiss's district. But it's still something that I think our community utilizes. We utilize it. We host our legislative events there. I know it's a separate building, but like even that building looks a little run down. So I would be in favor of that, adding it. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may address,
May.
we have two options with that. One would be to remove some of the items here for that 5 million, or if you wanted to have us recalculate the numbers and increase the bond amount to 280 instead of 275, we will accept the board's direction as to how you would like us to proceed on that.
You may.
This is my personal opinion, and I'm 1 out of 7. I've sort of calculated the $4 and let's say 50 cents that it would be per every 100,000. My bill would be probably a little bit over $65 annually. I think that's a great investment on my behalf because I utilize those parks constantly, and I probably visit those parks more than 60 times a year, so I'm probably averaging about $1 per use. In my opinion, it would be a well-made investment. So I'm okay with going up to 280 because there is a match on the table. That's my personal opinion, but that would be where I stand.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I agree with Commissioner Flores on trying to make it easy for people to find both parks, and it seems like a very great suggestion to link the two. And also, I'll just skip over to the Mounts Botanical. I very much would support this. It's a match. I like matches, so they're going to be fundraising, and we could use this. I'm assuming, I don't know if you have the numbers, but I would assume that an additional 5 million on the impact of this wouldn't push us over.
It's not going to be, it'll be negligible.
It would be,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, I would agree, we just add the 5 million to this, so I would be supportive of that. The mutual use sports fields, I love that idea. We have a lot of our schools that have land or have sports fields that aren't maybe as well maintained as they could be, and us investing a little bit into that, into the school property, and then we get use when, for other events, because sports fields, I hear about it all the time. I know you do, so you hear about it way more than I do. But I think that's a quick way to get some usable fields for a number of different sports. I know soccer, I hear a lot more about soccer. FIFA's coming this year. I think it's hot. So I really, any of the areas that's quick that we could get those done. Shade, absolutely. One of my questions was also not just shade.
Excuse me, Vice Mayor, the attorney wanted to chime in.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just on the mounts issue, we want to be sure that bond counsel blesses using bond funds towards that, because there's that private-public partnership, and we also need to make sure that the bond language covers it. I don't foresee an issue, but we do need to clear that with bond counsel. That's all I wanted to say.
so we'd add that to the board direction to make sure that gets cleared through bond council. Thank you. And for the shade trees, not just the shade in the parks, but if we could do better for shade in the parking lots as well. Not just palm trees. They're beautiful, but they don't really provide a lot of shade. And we can design our parking lots to where people can actually park. I know when I go to a park, everyone's clamoring for the 3 little spots over in the shade, and the tourists park in the sun for the first time because they don't know better. The timing on this, do we know about because we don't have to do the full 275 at first. So any idea on the first tranche and the timing of when that would be?
So when it passes in November, we would gear up at around April through June of 2027 to do our first issue. And it would depend on what projects are ready to go, because I don't want to issue bonds too soon and then just have it sitting for years, because I try to stay away from the IRS and all the other alphabet people that, review us for, bondings and things. So we'll look to see what that would look like, but maybe it would be 50 million to 100 million, depending on where they are ready to go and things like that.
Okay, and then when the time comes for that, is that something that comes back to the board to
It
do?
will.
Which projects, how much money, and all of that? Okay,
So our June item is just to approve the ballot language so we can submit it to the supervisor of election. And then when we're ready to actually issue bonds, we'll bring back the full bond resolution to you probably like April.
now since this does go to the voters, is there sort of maybe like a website that gets created for people to know which parks, or how does this work? So, because we can educate but not advocate, right?
Right. So that would be our goal and why we're starting with transparency today. We would rework this list based on board direction and absolutely have a public-facing website, very similar to the infrastructure sales tax that was created. And we have some really good examples of parks bonds that have passed in other areas around the country that have done a really nice job with that to show project updates and progress on the actual projects.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, you all. Thank you all for your presentation. More than $1.2 billion in Parks Capital Improvements Program needs have been identified over the next 10 years. The bonding amount with the increase, 4.72 per person per 100,000, I guess. That would include the next 10 years. Is there a certain amount we have to get to? Are we aiming at 1.2 billion and then the bond stops? Or is it just, are we aiming at 10 years for the bonding amount?
It would be the 280 million
Okay.
total, but again, bonded over time. That 10-year, I mean, we will need something else in the future, whatever that ends up being, whether it's another bond or a sales tax to get us to keep moving on the program. But this would be for 280 million in projects.
Thank you for that. Which brings me to the areas in white that are not funded, are not shown as funded. Are they a part of the proposed 10-year plan? Are they here because maybe we'll do something after that bonding amount, the 280 million is met, then there's something that we do beyond that? Because it's identified as 1.2 billion in parks and capital improvement programs. So I'm wondering if the bond amount will help with these projects that are shown in white that are not priorities.
They would not unless the board directs us to swap something out on the list. The projects in white would be the next, after this is done, the next iteration of whatever that funding would be. They would be next on the list for us.
Thank you for that. In addition to that, you indicated that, and Commissioner Woodward spoke about the county interlocal improvements for public mutual use recreation facilities. I know that's not a part of the explanation may not be a part of the funding mechanism, but can you explain to us just exactly how that would work? I know we've got laws that indicate that, you know, the public can't be on a school ground up to 2 hours or 3 hours after they've had a program. And so just so people know how that works. And as we talked about before, and it's been years where people have asked specifically about a track and field, right? To be able to run on a track, an actual track at a school facility or somewhere in the open. And I see that we have it listed for $12 million, which we're going to get done at some point while I'm here, right? I may not be able to run on it by that time, but we'll get it done. Can you, Jennifer, explain that mutual use agreement and how exactly that would work or how it works?
Sure. So we've had a mutual use agreement between Palm Beach County and the Palm Beach County School District since the late 80s. Mutual use of recreation facilities. So our public teams can request use of their facilities. Their programs can request use of our facilities. The problem, and the school district's great to work with, but the problem lies where their facilities often are not something our groups want to request. And because of the Jessica Lunsford Act that you referenced, the school sites are not open during the school day or after school hours to the public for good reason, right? But after everyone's gone for the day and the schools are available to be used by the public, that's where we need improvement, and that's where we can improve some of their school facilities. For example, middle schools typically are designed with have a track with a field, but it has no lights. So those lights would make all the difference in us requesting it to be able to be used by the public after middle school hours and after everyone has gone for the day. Same thing with artificial turf. It would allow us, the high school fields, and again, for good reason, protect their high school football fields very, very closely. Even the band usually can't march on them. But if we can put artificial turf on more of those fields that are not in our affluent communities, there are a few schools that have worked with the local community and the local municipality to change them to turf. But in our unincorporated areas, if we can make more of those turf, it breaks down that barrier to overuse, and we can open those up for public recreation and for the public to be on the track and to use the fields. And the school district is very, I think, open-minded to us doing those improvements. Canyon District Park in District 5 is a really good example. You'll see an interlocal agreement specifically for that park coming to you soon that will give the public and have that access for that specific school. But we need to do that more on a county-wide basis. So I don't know if that answers your question, Commissioner, but thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. I also had questions in regards to the use of the school facilities. I mean, they're an underutilized public asset, and so to make them more available for the public, I think is a good thing since they're paying for it, and the land is there and available for them. So how, if we make this investment and you've got funds set aside for each district, will they actually open the fields up like at night and on weekends so that the public or these teams can use them?
Yes, that's a short answer, yes. But Canyon District Park, we're working specifically with the middle school. We have the ability to make improvements to their fields, add lights to the track, and they're using our, it's not mutual. The mutual use isn't mutual because they're already going to use our softball, baseball, and soccer fields, but it allows us to make some minor improvements to make it publicly accessible, and then the public will have access to walk that track and to use that field, yes.
Okay, all right. I think that's good, and it's important for the public to know. How long is this going to take to get these areas opened up?
Yeah, so it's hard to put a timeline on any capital construction, right? But once the voters vote for it in November, those are some of the lower hanging fruit because the underlying infrastructure already exists. So, getting them online quicker, it's a lot quicker than building something brand new. So I think it is. It's a good investment. It's a smart investment to be efficient and to get them online, within a year rather than 3 years or more.
Okay, good. All right, and then I'm also good with the taking up the $5 million and that, but it would not be dispersed until they've raised the other $5 million.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This issue with the schools, we tried to do that, and I know Commissioner Powell was involved in this with the state, and they always had a blockage with insurance. Have we been able to supersede the state's involvement in denying the public's use of school district property after school is over?
They actually encourage it now,
Then let's do it.
Even in the Doge report, they mentioned we should be doing more of it.
Yes, we should. We've been trying to do this for years in the legislature, and they always stopped us with insurance, and the public having access. So is it true then that this county commission, we have access to the fields that are owned and operated by the school district?
We do. The groups have to provide indemnification. We have sovereign immunity, but if we have a AYSO team, they would have to indemnify the school board as well.
Okay.
But, yes,
So that being said, there's a lot of school, just in District 5, my gosh. We have so many, I know I could see Commissioner Powell running on those fields right now. We got great fields. I was over at West Boca the other day, West Boca High School. They've got an amazing football field, and I think they're like number 1 or something, but
They've already reached out to us,
good.
Commissioner.
Okay,
yes.
so whatever we can do to help that. I know that they're getting help from us, especially at Canyons, which is good. We have sort of a symbiotic relationship. So whatever we can do to encourage that. I hate to see kids in the streets and a locked gate for our school fields.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't make any sense.
You
So,
can see it, but you can't get to it. Yeah.
right, so do you think your team could give us a report on the different schools that are allowing us to use their fields for the public after school hours? Because I think we should thank our school board, we should thank the school district, because the public pays for our schools. And I just hate to see kids in the streets when those school fields are there and they're locked up.
All of them are currently available for us to have our groups use them. I will say very few of them are requested because of the quality standard of the current fields. They're for school board purposes, they're kept as PE fields. They're not up to the standard that our folks would play on them. But we do have, if you think Special Olympics, a lot of folks don't realize it's a Palm Beach County Parks and Recreation program. They use the tracks for their area games. And so there is mutual use, and I can certainly provide you a report. But the sports fields themselves, I will say, are underutilized by us, and that's what we're looking to make it mutual. Yeah.
I'm going to send you there's a couple of them in my district, just basketball fields. I mean, we got great basketball fields at Spanish River and West Boca, and I'd like to be able to see the kids go in and use them. And there's lights. So great, Jennifer. I appreciate that very, very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yeah, I also wanted to remind everybody that we also have municipalities that have their own park system. So when you put this list together, or have you ever put a list together that includes what the entire county offers? You want to speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Of our 39 municipalities, about 20 of them have their own parks departments. In past bonds, there has been some collaboration where they've worked together to do some municipal projects. I will say, though, recently, some of the municipalities have passed their own parks and rec bonds. The city of West Palm Beach, city of Boynton Beach come to mind. They are funding their parks capital on their own. And although we are a countywide service area, because our regional parks and our beach parks and our special facilities in particular serve everybody, we don't care if you're a municipal resident or a county resident. That's why this is countywide. There has been some collaborations with municipality in the past, but this time we did not go to them and ask for projects or anything like that, because some of them have passed their own bonds.
Got it. And I wasn't really, I guess my entry point of that wasn't to include them in the conversation. It was more about what is the offerings that we have out there for our community also include some of the school partnerships, also municipal. They have their own parks and stuff, so that's all available. My last point to the Mounts Botanical, not only when they have their funding, we will match. I believe that's in our property, so it should come for approval of some sort from the county before we release any funds. So, thank you.
So a few questions for you. There's a few things in District 6, and we have two things that are kind of close to each other. I guess my main question, it might even be an attorney question. Because we're bonding this and we're putting out bond language, how specific does it need to be? And I guess my question is if we are using the 20 Mile Bend project, I love the idea of putting an athletic complex there. But with this language, are we limiting it to, what if the residents reached out and they wanted an ATV park there? What if they wanted another type of shooting complex there, an indoor shooting? What if they wanted something else? Are we limiting ourselves to what can be there?
I will let our bond folks and our attorney answer, but I will say we're only presenting this list because we want to be transparent, but the design can definitely change. So the bond language, we can be a little more open to, sports facility modernization. What that sport is could change, right? Because we know we have a need for OHV trails in our county. And that would, it'd be unusual to put them together with other sports, but it can be done through design. So I don't know if you wanted to, Mark, did you want to say anything about the bond language?
I think that Mark Braun, Debt Manager, Palm Beach County, OFMB, I think that when you start to consider commercial ventures, that we need to be sensitive, as Dave Bayhard said, to private activity. And so that may be a driver of why you might want to issue bonds or a segment of bonds on a taxable basis as opposed to tax exempt. Because the private activity, when you can't, the IRS and Treasury Department does not want you to issue bonds on a tax exempt basis and then turn around and fund private activity, enterprises, if you will, for profit enterprises.
And are you saying that an ATV park would be a private activity?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying we need to be sensitive to that.
Okay, I think what your real question was about the ballot language, and the ballot language is general enough to allow us to renovate and do different things in parks, but it's not so specific that it wouldn't allow us to do an ATV park or build new parks or renovate, we keep it very general in the ballot
Or
language.
determine what the sport is. Your district parks as well. I know there's a district park that needs to be built in District 6 and another one in 2 that needs to be built. What's in that district park is to be determined, right? And we're going to go through the design process, but we all know we need that park for level of service and for active uses. So I think it is broad enough that it would allow for the different uses.
Attorney?
So they got it all right with the ballot language. What I would recommend is we have the list of projects attached to the resolution. That way there's no argument that the projects have exceeded the scope of what the board has authorized in the resolution. So the bond language can be broad enough to cover a multitude of projects. It's actually better to keep it broader within the bounds of vagueness. There's a balance there.
I have no problem with that. Can we individually meet with staff and say what projects each commissioner wants in their district, or do we have to come here? Like, how does that, because that could be very time consuming.
It wouldn't violate sunshine law as long as there's not two commissioners at the same meeting. You can meet with staff and have whatever discussions you'd like from a legal standpoint.
To make sure that our list of district priorities are notated. Does anyone? Commissioner Flores, you are recognized.
So I sort of did that with the team already. My only comment or feedback would be that if you do change, the amounts may change. So I think that's what staff is trying to get guidance today is, are we moving forward with the 280?
I think that's an excellent point. So I think the point is, as long as it sticks within the amount allocated in each district already, then we can prioritize.
I don't have an issue with that. So as long as staff doesn't have an issue, I think that's what they're looking for, guidance.
Mayor, if I may, we're going to have to rework the numbers a little bit anyway, because what I'm hearing is you want us to include mutual use for the school board, and that is not currently shaded green. So we'll be reworking the numbers a little bit as well. So as long as we stay within the 280, what I'm hearing is 280, include 5 million for mounts, not until they raise the 5 million and it comes back for your approval, and then also to include some mutual use countywide. So we're going to be working, and I'd be happy to meet with you all again to go through what's in your district to make sure that what I'm hearing today, and it's going to come back, this list is going to come back with the resolution language on June 9th. So you will all see it collectively again at that time.
What happens if we fund phase 1? Where are you getting the funding if there are more phases required?
That's that future to be determined. Again, Canyon, I apologize for continuing to reference that, but that's our most recent example. We funded a phase 1. It took us several more years to get the funding together to do phase 2, but we did eventually accomplish it. And once we have that master plan on the books, that funding has to be determined where it's going to come from, whether, again, it's a future bond or, you know, we are collecting impact fees for new stuff, but it's very little. So if we get a grant, OHV is a great grant opportunity. There's lots of grants for OHV out there.
So there's, I personally would like to see, because it says phase 1, and it would be roughly 32 million, it looks like, more to complete the 20-mile bend, any sort of athletic complex there. I mean, there's a huge area of 1,300 square miles in District 6. It's massive, and there's not really a whole lot in between Midwestern and out there. I mean, the Arden District Park doesn't exist. Nothing currently exists in this massive space, and I just don't want to see something get started and not completed. So, I mean, unless my fellow commissioners would have an issue with us trying to at least get this one project in my district full, like not just phase 1, and then have to wait 5 or 10 years for completion of a project, I would love to at least get that one fully funded. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. You're making me change. I had a thought that was on the surface, but if that were the case, 32 million there, then if that's what we were doing, I would then want to fund the track, which I think was 12 million in my district. But I don't know if we have an allocated location. Let me look at this here. It's 12.5 million, but that wasn't where I was going. But if we are going there, I would like to, you know, if we're going to raise, but we can get there, right? Think about this. This bond referendum, 280 million. The referendum would be up to 10 years, correct? Or until it's funded at 280 million?
There is no timeline once we do a referendum for when we have to issue it. So it allows us some flexibility. And even if I issued $280 million worth of bonds all at one time, you can't do all these projects in a year, 2 years, 3 years. It takes time. That's why I always say, let's issue a smaller portion. We wait a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, see how the first bonds go, and then issue the next one to continue through. So there's got to be like a little bit of a priority list from Parks as far as what they think is ready to go when we issue those first bonds.
Thank you, Sherry. And what I was thinking is, if that's the case, if the mayor were indicating that maybe adding that project on, and I know we're probably doing too much, and adding other projects on, maybe extrapolating out the timeline of when we think we would finish paying off the bond, because I know Palm Beach County is continuing to grow. There's more and more people coming to Palm Beach County. I'm just workshopping in my head,
right?
But now out loud, what I'm thinking in terms of some of the projects that are not priority, capitalizing to make sure they are priority and get done. Because I believe that your health is your wealth. And in Palm Beach County, you know, park facilities and libraries increase the quality of life here, right? And if we can do everything that we can to provide opportunities for people to really enjoy all of the facilities that are offered. It starts in the parks. Here in Palm Beach County, that would be my idea of how we kind of move this ball down the court.
And I'll just add to that, as you're talking timeline, because our normal maturity for a bond is 20 years. So this is, allocated debt service payments over 20 years. So that's how long people will be paying for these projects.
Thank you for that, Sherry. Okay, when I think about it, that puts something in perspective. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you. Do any developers help with the funding of some of our parks that may be close to there or contiguous to their developments?
We've, Mayor, if I may, we've had land dedications as part of their development, but I am not aware of any in our park system where they've actually paid for development of the park. I see Bob shaking his head now. That has happened in other jurisdictions, but not in our county park system. But we have, the underlying land has come from some of the developers, yes.
Have we ever, when you shake, I didn't see it, Jim. Could I ask him if, when you say other jurisdictions, you're talking about other counties or than Palm Beach?
Correct, Commissioner. There is other counties throughout the state, other municipalities. They do have, different rules and regulations to allow that.
And we do not allow it?
No, typically, like, as Jennifer mentioned, it's Canyon District Park, as an example, was a land dedication from GL Homes. That's historically. Arden is another one in District 6 where it was a land dedication by the developer, but they usually stop at that point. They don't provide any additional funding outside of impact fees.
Could they, when you say they stop at that, could we ask them to put a little money into maybe shade trees? A lot of the developers will take down every tree in that area.
That would be the will of the board when you're approving a project, I believe.
Okay, so we could ask a developer not only for, to give us land, such, I think that happened in Canyon, didn't it, Canyon Park? Was that land given to us by I don't want to mention any developers, but by the developer?
It was dedicated by the
It was
developer.
dedicated by the developer. Is there any reason why we could not ask them for funding to help with the development of that park?
I don't know if Patrick is here. He'd probably best speak to that, but all I can speak to is it not has traditionally been done in the county. I don't know if it could be done. It is done in other jurisdictions. I know Miami-Dade County, for example, has required people to build a park
Excuse me,
before they
Jennifer.
begin, but yeah.
Pat's standing behind you.
Pat, oh, good. Where is he? Where is he? Okay, perfect.
Pat, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Bob did touch on the 2 points where developers are encumbered, be it on the civic dedications and then the park impact fees. Specifically to your point, Commissioner, that would be something, if you were looking at additional considerations to come about, would want to see that embodied in code. And if that was the board direction to take a look at that, there's some challenges that would be out there, but we could take that direction and pursue it.
No, I don't think it needs, I'm not asking for a code or some type of zoning addition on this. I'm just asking, is there anything that hinders us or prevents us legally from asking a developer to fund part of the development of that land that they're deeding us, Mr. Rutter?
Certainly asking the question, this board, when they deal with zoning items, does have a number of them and has asked for points through the course of time. I would encourage you, though, as you consider something like this, to do it maybe a little bit more uniformly, if that was a direction, or the will of the board, to address those, to have something a little more distinct that would speak to parks funding. You're talking about the development of it, not just the set aside on land. So you have something more uniform.
No, I'm not asking for the question is real simple. Is there anything that stops us from asking a developer who has deeded land to us if they could also help fund something that's going to go on that land? Let me ask the attorney.
So it could be part of your negotiations and,
Okay.
and contractual negotiations. I am not a PZB expert. We do have experts in my office, so I would like to have them look at that issue to see if there's any issues that I'm not aware of. But when it comes to contractual negotiations,
Why not, right?
if they agree, it's a contract.
Obviously, it's not a statute, it's not a state statute if other jurisdictions are doing it.
Right, but we would have to look at it for sure. We would
Okay,
have to look at it.
do you think that your office could come back with us at some point to all the commissioners and tell us? Because it could be that we could be able to, or maybe not. I just want to know if there's anything that deters us in this county from asking a developer to put in a little money for a development of a park.
I'll bring it up to the office.
Appreciate it, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rutter.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. In following up on the Mayor's questions about the 20-mile athletic complex, what would you envision Phase 1 is able to accomplish?
So Bob, correct me if I'm speaking out of term from a construction standpoint, but, phase one is really our, like we've done at other parks, our underlying infrastructure, getting, sanitary sewer, restrooms, parking lot, ingress, egress. That particular site, we have a bit of a challenge with the turn radius to get in. But depending on what the elements were, building some of the basic elements and that underlying infrastructure. So to OHV Trails, T-Mark Schmidt grants are available, and that could be accomplished at a fairly low dollar cost because you're just kind of moving around some dirt. But if we're going to build athletic facilities, again, building some of them, but not all of them, but making sure the underground infrastructure, electric, sanitary sewer, those things are in place. That's really phase one, is prepping the site and getting it ready for future expansion.
And then, how about, would TDC dollars be available for a facility like that?
I don't know if I can't see behind me, so if Emmanuel's here, he could speak to that. I think there would be an ordinance change required that they are working on to help with some facilities. We would look to leverage almost every large project. We would leverage with other funding. So we would look for sports tourism, TDC funding for any of these athletic complexes that are heavily used. I know George Lindley is here from the Sports Commission. He can tell you he uses our park system very, very heavily.
I know they do. I know we support a lot of those.
And if we make nice new facilities, they're going to be able to go out there and recruit.
Do they contribute to any of our parks facilities today?
Not facilities, but they do quite a bit of grants to bring in the business to utilize our park system. So they
When
do
you
grants
say-
to the organizations.
You say grants.
They're small dollar grants to the organization to bring them in town, like the baseball tournament, the Spartan tournament. And I know George can do a better job explaining it than I
Okay,
can.
I mean, I understand that.
Not
But
capital.
they're not, or maintenance, are they?
Correct.
So they're not, but yet so people are, in a way, I guess, well, in a way, they're bringing people in from out of town. They're staying here. Some of them, I assume, are staying in hotels and paying bed tax dollars that then go to TDC. But
And
it
it's
seems like it would make sense that they could contribute also to the maintenance of these facilities as well as the capital.
I
mean,
don't believe I'm sorry I interrupted,
Go
but
ahead.
I don't believe that the statute allows for the maintenance portion, but it does allow for capital dollars, and that if TDC, let's say, builds a sports complex, they can put in 70% of the cost, and then we would put in 30%, and that's a formula out of
So-
statutes.
I mean, as we're looking at this and we're talking about some of these facilities, and I know Commissioner Powell brought up the track, and the track could also be certainly used for holding events at as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does dovetail,
I
and we
think we
would.
could leverage. I think it should be part of the plan that we, maybe between now and June, can we get folks from the TDC to look at this and say, hey, what can we, so that we can actually, maybe there's more projects that can get done.
We are already talking with them about leveraging this funding. You're right on. And when you look at their 10 big ideas that they're going to do feasibility plans on, one of them is a large indoor sports complex. One of them is a large facility like that. We are already speaking with them, and that's what these numbers reflect.
What about some not so big ideas, but like a track so we can watch
Yes.
Commissioner Powell run?
And St. Aloysius, which is
Yep.
well used, but very under the radar. St. Aloysius Baseball Complex brings in more sports tourism to our county than people would ever imagine.
And maybe even the pool.
Yes, so,
Holding tournaments and so forth. But I mean, I know George and his commission are doing a great job bringing lots of activities here. It would be great if they, if the TDC then could help us in some of the funding. I mean,
Right.
they've got a great revenue stream.
absolutely. And it's part of that better, when we talked at the first few slides, we talked about the return on investment, reinvesting in your park system. It brings that greater economic benefit with it.
Yeah, and if you can use some of their dollars to offset your capital costs, then it leaves you money for your maintenance, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One question that I did have, do we have the ability to sort of do a heat map based on population density on these parks? or on what we're putting together, since it is a countywide payback. Everyone in the county pays back for it. So are we able to do something like that?
What was the acronym you used?
Like a heat map for
Oh, a
population
heat map. Oh, a
density?
heat map. Yeah, we actually do in our master plan have heat mapping for gaps in our park system, and then we know where our visitation is and can overlay that with a heat map of the population density as well. Yeah, absolutely. That's really our 2 district parks. I mean, part of it is the property we own, right? You know, where it happens to be. But I will say, part of the reason they acquired Lantana District I, which is West Lantana Road, is they knew that the population would grow in that area, and that was very intentional, as well as Salisbury Way out by Okeechobee and the fairgrounds. So yes, the acquisition piece, 100%. That's how, if we ever did get
No,
acquisition
I meant the
money.
projects that we're putting for the bond. So that way, on the website, when the voters go to look at what they're voting for.
Oh, they can see what's near
They
them.
can see like a map of where all of this is going to be.
Sure, we can overlay that, absolutely. I know Bob has that ability, he's done it for me,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just want to caution the board about asking for additional projects. As it is, my district is only getting 4 projects, which is recommended, and I'm okay with that because I trust the team. They're looking at the entire county's master plan, and they know how to proceed and move forward. But if we're going to start asking for things, it has to be proportional then. So I just want to bring that up right now because when you add the dollars, I'm probably not the top 3 or anything like that. When you look at amount of projects, I think District 3 and District 7 have the least. So I just want to be,
And 4, I see the vice mayor,
4?
yes.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that's just my point. If we're going to start asking for additional stuff, then we're going to have to make this proportional somehow.
Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized.
Don't go away. I think what we're talking about here is public-private partnerships, because we can't fund everything alone. And I think that if we can use some of what Commissioner Weiss was talking about, Commissioner Powell, and I, with the developers, that if we can get companies or entities to invest in our parks, it makes it a lot easier for our public to pay. So I'm just sort of wrapping things up for you, Jennifer, and I think that is a excellent discussion that we've been having about it because it makes sense. And it makes good public sense, and it just would be helpful for us in funding the parks. So I look forward to the report from our council attorney, and also with the ideas that, as was remarked by my colleagues, of public-private partnerships in our park. How we could even name some of them after some of the companies. It's not the first time that stuff like that has happened. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do disagree with Commissioner Flores. We do have districts 1, 5, 6, largest by land mass. We can't expect to have the same amount of parks and projects in smaller districts that we do in all the other parks. And not to mention, some of us have, even Vice Mayor Woodward here has, District 4 has a ton of municipalities that probably have parks all throughout them. So I don't know that I think proportion is necessarily the way I would go with parks on a lot of things. And can still use it. No, agreed. They can still use it for sure. Anywhere. They don't, I don't think any of our residents drive around going, you know what, this is the district line. I can't go use that park. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, anything that's built anywhere, people are going to use, especially a sports complex. And we were talking about football fields, soccer fields. We're talking about polo fields at this 20-mile bend. We were talking about all kinds of different potential uses using there. To think that only people from District 6 are going to use that's not accurate. Everyone's going to use it. So that's, I guess where I disagree on that front. But other than that, I do love what you guys have put together in the priorities that you seem to get done. And I will leave it at that. I mean, I do want to make sure we get, moving forward. So are you clear on your direction, or do you
Yes,
need?
if I may, Mayor, just repeat it to make sure I understand fully. So the board direction is to adjust to $280 million bond to include the $5 million match for Mount's Botanical Garden within the project list, and for the bond language to reflect the same. You would like me to go back and include some of the mutual use dollars to make improvements to some of the school facilities, and I can work with my staff to tweak the list a little bit to do that, to look for partnerships wherever we can, which we're going to need to leverage this money. And if you each so desire, to meet with you individually again to tweak the list within your district, and if we need to move some money around within the district to not increase the 280, we could potentially do that as well.
Okay.
I actually had a couple of others, and I just want to confirm the direction for the county attorney's office to look at what can be asked of developers as far as building parks or trees in shade, the heat maps for the proposed bond projects, the report on schools that are allowing usage, and then also for our websites to do cross-referencing with parks and mounts. Between Jennifer and I, did we capture everything? Okay.
Okay, we look forward to meeting with you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very much.
We will move on to comments, starting with Commissioner Sacks. Oh, excuse me,
Sorry.
Commissioner, let's start with administration.
Is that okay?
No, I don't
Thank
think
you.
so. I think I'll start, no.
Just a few comments, Madam Mayor, and to the board. Thank you on mounts. One statistic that wasn't brought up, Commissioner, we are one of the very few communities that actually have a botanical gardens. There's not many throughout the United States, so we will work to make sure that's done right from the administration operational standpoint. Also wanted to, since we were on the park topic, one issue that has been bothering families for many years was the parking lot at Okehili Park, which has been quite rough. And that is under construction right now for repavement and refurbishment. So just wanted to bring that up. From a marketing perspective, to Commissioner Flores about combining parks and some of our operations. Just to let you know very briefly where we are with staff. We have gone through the reorganizational process. We are very in sync, in my strong opinion. We are now moving towards updating and redoing our frontal-facing marketing platforms, everything from our vendor portals to our new main website that you will see. I will be connecting with all of you, getting input and ideas, doing some joint synergies between and parks. I'll make sure that's included as we have our new frontal-facing elements to the public. I know there will be a security update, Madam Mayor. We are moving towards for the building as far as the substation and locking down the building. If it's okay with you, would you mind if Deputy Administrator Nadler addressed some of the issues on that?
Please.
Hello again. Is this working? Okay, hello again. Vice Mayor, Mayor, Commissioners. We are going to be locked down the building in around mid-June. That's the date we're looking to do it. Our operation hours will change. We're going to open the building earlier at 7:30 a.m. to start processing people. There will be 2 lines for employees and residents to come into the building. All side doors to the building will be closed down. There will be one access. This will be considered a substation, a police department, so garage access will be locked down. Everybody will be coming through the main doors, except for constitutional officers, commissioners. that will be able to come to the garage. There will be no access to that point.
What about our staff?
They will be coming to the front doors.
That is,
We can discuss it later. It's all security. We can have conversations and discuss it individually with you guys. I really don't want to give a lot of the details of how we're securing the building on the dais, but I'll be more than happy to meet and we can discuss it. But there's a lot of work with the sheriff's office on securing the building. They will be screened with the machines in the front door. They'll be posting that this is a substation, a police department. Any questions?
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is new, so I didn't know much about this. I'm choosing my words. We should definitely have a conversation because I think we're all surprised. Yeah, I would love to have that conversation. Just process-wise, everybody through the front door at the same time.
And Administrator, if this is a security, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Commissioner
fine.
Powell. If this is a security issue, why are we not in a closed-door meeting to discuss access to this building?
I think that'd be a good idea, Madam Mayor.
May I say something?
Let's let Commissioner Powell finish because I rudely interrupted him.
No, it's okay. I'll wait to hear what security says. On its face, because I don't have enough information, I don't think I like it, but we will find out in a security meeting. But I don't right now know enough to
So we
truthful.
Sorry, Commissioner, permission to speak?
Yes, you're recognized.
So we just initially met with the security detail, and we met with PBSO, that's what came, and now we're just letting you know where our expected timeline is. I will meet with you guys individually and see where we want to go with this and get feedback. That's what is asked from the sheriff's office about locking down and securing the building. So we will address it.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you. This may be a day for everybody to work remotely as far as staff. When it comes to security, I'm not taking any chances. Now, when I started working here, we had security on the 12th floor. We don't have security on the 12th floor anymore. And that's public. Everybody knows it. And we should be aware that whatever we should do, as far as I'm concerned, whatever is necessary for protection against, for if it's a fire drill or if it's a security drill, we should know that we have to protect the people who work in this building. And so I'm open for discussion, public or not. But I think that we need to be aware that security is a big issue today. And whatever you need to do to secure this building, not only for myself, but for my staff and for people who work here, I think it's important. So, and I like to have it public, private, but also public, because it's a public building. And we have been denied security that we had before on the 12th floor. So, or on any other offices here. So, damn right. Whatever you need for security, and that means that my staff has to work remotely that day, I'm sure they would be very much against it. But I think that our number one concern is to be secure for the people who work here. And that's my opinion.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
I do have many questions. I do have many comments, but I'll just leave this here out in the open. At no point has this commission made that direction. And we are moving in a direction that this commission has not approved. So we are a public serving institution. Should there be certain levels of security? Absolutely. But the public has the right to come into this building because they do business here. So with that being said, other buildings don't have the security that you're talking about implementing here. Should certain floors have that level of security? I agree with that. But I don't know I don't know how I feel about this whole thing that's being said right now.
And
And there should be levels of clearance into the building or to the certain floors. I agree with that. But where we're moving, there's never been a discussion about any of this. So I just want to say that.
Administrator, can we have this, a more conversation with all of us? I believe June 16th would be a good day for us to come back and have this discussion. I believe it was a closed door, or they call it a shade meeting for security purposes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With you and the board indulgence, I would like to set a closed-door meeting for private security
June
matters.
16th.
for
Does
June
anyone
16th.
object to that? You have direction.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Wood, okay? Then we are good. Thank you. Now that those comments are concluded, Commissioner Sachs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. When the county administrator first started, we did a trip to all the various colleges searching for interns who would want to become part of our team. And the reason for that is because, first of all, there's nobody better than to have somebody work on your team in the county who is a Palm Beach County resident and who graduated from a Palm Beach County college. One of the colleges we visited was Florida Atlantic University. Since that visit, the president of Adam Hasner from Florida Atlantic University has instituted an internship program that I'm sure my colleagues have used, whereby you can choose an intern and they are paid by the university. So I've taken advantage of that, and I do want to introduce someone who went through that program, became an intern in my office, and is now hired as of yesterday as a staff member, and that is Cynthia Akan. Cynthia, you want to stand up? Cynthia is just graduated from FAU, first generation in her family to graduate from college, and luckily for me, she has a bachelor in urban and regional planning. She has a background in commercial arts and architecture, and she's excellent when it comes to research for zoning and planning, and she's been a tremendous asset for my team as an intern, and I offered her a position yesterday. So welcome, Cynthia, to Palm Beach County Commission. And now, since then, I was able to get another intern from FAU. And Sarah, you want to stand up? This is Sarah Cordova. She just started yesterday as well. She's starting her senior year at FAU. And luckily for me, she is majoring in computer science with minors in cybersecurity and AI. Can't get better than that. So Cynthia, welcome as an intern. I'm going to have you go around to the offices, and Cynthia will introduce you, Sarah, to the other staff. So thank you, FAU, and thank you, our county administrator, for starting this program. Under comments, too, I'd like to declare that June 2nd, 2026 is Italian National Day. So we'll be giving an off-site proclamation, not in Rome, but here in Florida.
Are you asking?
I'm asking, yes.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Sachs, a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please
If
say
it's
at
in
the
Rome, I'll let y'all know and we'll be there.
Rome's not approved, but the rest of it is. Please say the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd like to have the reappointment of Lee Waring, Advisory Palm Beach County Infrastructure Surtax Independent Citizen Oversight Committee. It's a reappointment for that committee, and I'd like to make that announcement today. Thank you very much, and that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mayor. First off, thanks to staff for a very a good meeting today, and especially to our Parks Department for all your efforts in finance to make that all work out. First thing, recently A1A over on the island reopened over by Mar-a-Lago because we're not expecting the president back in our area anytime soon, which is big relief to the folks on the island, and they're very happy about it. But I'd like to ask that we send a letter to the Secret Service regarding the flight path and ask them to reconsider, since they've reopened A1A, to reconsider allowing the flight path to resume back to normal while the president is not going to be here. So that would be my request of the board.
I don't see any comments, but I have some questions. If we allow that to resume, what if he does come back unexpectedly?
They'll put TFRs back in. That's
And
what
then
that's
they'll-
what they normally do, is they put temporary flight restrictions in. This is how it operated for 4 years when he was first term of president, and for most of the year last year while his second term had begun. Understanding the security, there's security issues when he's here, definitely, but we don't expect him back. The Secret Service did remove the barricades and have allowed traffic to flow. Cars can drive over there, so we just ask that the Secret Service reconsider this.
What's your thoughts, Administrator?
We have a direct line with the Secret Service, so I could do an inquiry with that, Commissioner. In past discussions, they did noted we are at war, and they're taking extraordinary measures.
So
I
even
can tell
if-
you the town of Palm Beach has already sent a letter to the Secret Service.
And even if he's not there, are we still concerned that what could happen to his? No? Okay. I don't have any lights, so I guess nobody else wants to weigh on this. I guess it's a letter.
Thank you.
If you want to send a letter, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then yesterday, I was at the Botanical Gardens in Miami Beach. I have to say they are beautiful. I'd never been there before. For the launch of the Jewish Mayors and Municipal Leaders Association. They did not put county in there, but we'll talk to them about that, because we did have County Mayor Daniela Cava, is it Levine? And so she was one of the speakers, as well, and a number of Jewish elected officials, including Congressman Moskowitz, also addressed us. But really proud to be a part of that organization. It's really to be a voice for the Jewish community, not only here in South Florida, but throughout the country. And then tonight, downtown here at the Waterfront Pavilion at 7 p.m., they're going to be having an event called Honoring Our Heroes. This is a memorial event for law enforcement officers that have been lost in the line of duty here in Palm Beach County. If you haven't been to one of these events, it's really quite moving. A lot of the family members who have lost their loved ones in the line of duty also attend. It's very moving, and I know the men and women of law enforcement would certainly appreciate good support and turnout from the public. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to wish everybody a very happy Memorial Day weekend. I know most of us will do our barbecues. We will enjoy the beach. We'll go out and enjoy ourselves. But I want to remind everybody that Memorial Day is a day where we recognize our fallen heroes, and it's a day to reflect that this great country that we live. Many people have paid the ultimate price to make it what it is today. So I do want to recognize that. We will be. There is an annual. Actually, it's the 21st annual Memorial Day service, a day to remember, and it's at the Palm Beach Memorial Park. So you guys are all invited to join me as we honor those fallen heroes. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple things. First point of personal privilege, I want to recognize School Board Member Erica Whitfield is here in the audience. Thank you for joining us. As they used to say in Tallahassee, welcome to the County Commission. All right.
I said that in Tallahassee.
Well, they said welcome to the Florida Senate. Welcome to the Florida Senate. I have two off-site proclamations that I'd like to request. One up, I'd like to request approval for an off-site proclamation declaring May 22nd, 2026 as National Poppy Day.
I have a motion, and I have a second by Commissioner Sacks. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. And also request approval for an off-site proclamation recognizing June 2026 as the 60th class reunion of the Roosevelt Junior High School class of 1966.
I have a motion, and I have a second by Vice Mayor Woodward. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. A couple weeks ago, the Palm Beach County Caucus of Black Elected Officials had its annual scholarship luncheon. The scholarship application deadline has closed, I believe, on the 16th that night. So pretty soon, the BEO will be issuing scholarships. We are hoping to give out $100,000 in scholarship this year. But also, on May 30th, we are working with the Martin Luther King Jr. Coordinating Committee. Let me put my right voice on, because we will be presenting a live professional wrestling match in Riviera Beach, Florida. It will take place on May 30th at the Dan Calloway Tate Recreation Center. It is my understanding that the ring announcer will be none other than County Commissioner Bobby Powell. That'll be May 30th at 7 p.m. in Riviera Beach, Florida. So if you're available, come on out, bring your kids. I think tickets are really cheap, $5 for children, $12 for adults in advance. And everybody have a great and amazing Memorial Day weekend. Also, I'm sorry, the last thing, while we're here, Administrator Bruzo made reference, let's just keep our colleague, Commissioner Marino, and her family in our thoughts and prayers and, as we get ready for a Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First announcement, I wanted to let everyone know the Tri-Rail Station in Boca Raton is under a big construction project that the city is building, and parking has been a problem. We have negotiated with the brick facility next door to have overflow parking during this. It's probably going to be a 2-year-long process. We're having a shuttle. I do apologize. It's I guess, a good problem for us to have that the station's so crowded, but not good for the people trying to ride it. So there's additional parking available starting this week with the shuttle. Also, it's been awards season here in Palm Beach County. I think I've seen every one of us at different awards luncheons. I did want to call out a couple. Thank you, our congratulations to our Public Affairs Department for winning the Lynn Danes, I think it's Lynn Danes Special Achievement Award. So good job to our team here. Congratulations, you guys. They were at the governor's conference, I believe 10 years we've held it here, and it's moving to Orlando. So they received, good luck Orlando topping what our guys here did. And then last night, I believe was my last awards dinner to go to, was the inaugural Lou Groza Flag Football Awards held at FAU. Administrator joined too. Flag football is growing, and our girls, I think we had 2 of our high school teams won the state championship here in Palm Beach County, and administrator made some promises about trying to land one of these new franchises that the NFL is talking about. That room, full support. They're going to do everything. And I'm forgetting her name, but she was the only female coach, I think, that's been in the NFL. She spoke last night. I am blanking on her name. I should have wrote it down, but tiny little thing, but played with the men for a year and said it aged her in dog years. Taking those hits, but she was very inspirational to the girls last night. So I'm happy to be a part of that. And congratulations to everyone that received an award in the past, I think, 3 weeks. A lot of great stuff happening in this county. And I did just want to reiterate for Memorial Day, I will be at Veterans Park. I think Commissioner Sacks will probably, we're usually there in South County together. And thank you for what you said, Commissioner Flores. My dad always said, Memorial Day, it's about first we remember, and then we can celebrate the gift of their sacrifice. So Memorial Day is very much about honoring all the sacrifices that the brave men and women have made for our country, and then we get to celebrate this country that we have. So with that, everyone have a great weekend.
Administrator Abruzzo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I asked to speak again because I wanted to congratulate the staff, but the Vice Mayor did amazing at it. I did, since it was brought up, want to provide a brief update about flag football, what I'm aware that the NFL is doing and where we're positioned and such. I met with Tomorrow Sports, Tiger Woods' company, who has the contract to manage the new league, the franchises, the expansion for the NFL. This, I cannot say enough, is subject to change. It's all new for all parties involved. Right now, I was told what they're looking at is the NFL will start between 10 and 12 teams at a central location starting at the end of summer next year. Those franchises will be owned by the NFL. They will play all their games, likely possibly in New Jersey or a upper northeastern facility. From that point, they will sell off these franchises to different areas all around the country. Obviously, to use your terminology, Vice Mayor, they do have a heat map. I made the strong case that it's about market share. And if they decide to put one in Miami, that's their prerogative. However, they have a lot of competition in Miami. And as we know from their attendance records with the Marlins and others, it is not going so well. They would be our only sports franchise. I believe the community would coalesce around our only sports franchise. And by the way, there will be 2 teams per franchise, both male and female. I will continue to have those conversations with them and update the board as they get more concrete in their plans. But it's from administration standpoint that we will tee this up operationally for you, the board, to make any type of decisions needed so we land one of these franchises, which they have clearly stated are coming. And that would be all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Lastly, there was a topic we discussed on this board, I want to say over a year ago now, which was we don't rent governmental space to anyone really outside of government. But we did make an exception for elected officials in the Glades because office space in the Glades region is so non-existent. And we had a congresswoman at the time, we had a state's attorney's office, we had all kinds of different offices out there and the ability to rent space out there. But it's come to, I guess, our attention, and I'm gonna need the board to weigh in on this. It was never expanded to the eastern part of the county, renting out governmental space. So does the board want to stop any elected officials from renting space at all? Do we want to continue it in the Glades, or do we want to make all of our facilities available for them to rent? And we'll start from right to left. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think you may even want to put it in a larger context because I know this is a request from one of the state reps, but I know we also here in Palm Beach County, we have congressional people and state representatives and state senators. So kind of maybe if we capture it in a larger context, because I know if our congressperson and I know other municipalities, for example, the state senator for the district that I used to represent, which was 24 and 30, is utilizing space in one of the municipalities. So it's not uncommon that it's been done, and I know you can probably weigh in as well, Commissioner Sachs and Administrator Abruzzo, kind of like how that works. I don't know how it has happened in the county, but I do know it's not uncommon, and there's not a lot of state reps and state senators and congressional people in the area. So I would really like to hear from people, and in terms of access, how that works.
Are you for all of our government facilities?
All of our government facilities.
You want to know how it works in all of them currently?
No, just you outlined the idea of space, office space for electeds. So I know we have school board members here.
Yeah.
So Administrator?
Please, go ahead, Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If you don't mind the board to add some context. So the new state representative, Emily Gregory, has asked for space, which we located a small space at the North County Courthouse. It's within administration's purview. We can allot that, but only for a 3-month period. Anything above that would have to come to the board. It was brought to my attention that there was direction given, obviously, years ago, but as you stated, Mayor, I believe it was your direction, and it was based on space in the glades. If we open up where state reps, state senators, congressional people can take county space, which, by the way, is extremely limited, and as we move into our process over the next years to look at our buildings and how we're facilitating our move here and elsewhere, it's going to become even more limited. That said, if there's an abundance of state reps, state senators, and others that want county space, we have to set up a process of, was it first come, first serve? How does it coincide? Also, there may be some members that have great different views of the board here that are contradicting up in Tallahassee. How does that play in government? So these are all factors we have to weigh, that I have to think about when we allocate that space. So without anything set from you, the board, in place, and knowing that you have to authorize any lease that's over 3 months, this is now waded into this territory, and we do need direction. And I don't know, Pat, who facilities is under, I don't know if he would like to chime in.
The only thing I'd add to the administrator's comments is we can certainly implement the short-term board direction in a PPM. We've taken our first crack at putting one together, but we could further memorialize that in the PREM ordinance. The only other piece I'd add is, notwithstanding the discussion and the point on the space availability in general, there's a significant amount of staff time that goes into it as well, and trying to find that right fit. So, and that impacts other responsibilities.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you. This is an interesting idea. I think that government should always be open to having space for other government entities, especially within the county. I rented space from the city of Delray, and it was very helpful for me and my staff to be able to go across the hall and talk to zoning for the city, and how that, worked with the Senate, the state Senate. And I think that it's good for the public, because when the public goes into a government building, maybe they're going to see their state rep, maybe they're going to see, a school board member, because we're all government. We're all government, and it just makes sense to bring all government, as many government entities as we can, into one office, one building. It helps the public. And then secondly, and excuse me for saying so, but we can make money. We collect rent. What's wrong with the county being a landlord? As I would argue to entities when I was looking for space, the state doesn't pay a lot, but we pay. It's a guaranteed payment every month that the city of Delray got for my office space. Now, I went into a space that was occupied by Congressman L.C. Hastings. So it was all sort of set up like that, and the city of Delray rented that space out to Congressman Hastings and then to Senator Sachs. So I don't see any reason not to explore this. And I think with Mr. Rutter to take a look at it with us in terms of putting the process together, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be a landlord and should not encourage government to be part of one big office building. So that's my initial take on it right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to add on, Senator Nelson used to have an office over in, actually it was above the library in the city of West Palm Beach. So I think it makes sense. I would be happy to pull down extra money from the state of Florida on behalf of the taxpayers of Palm Beach County, so I would be good with that. Understanding there's a limitation of how much space we have available today and looking into the near future, but once the renovations are done here, once the second building is built out on the airport, third building out at the airport site, I think you're going to have not a lot of extra space, but you'll have some, and to the extent it's available, to make it available to our folks in government, I think that's great. And as it relates, and I understand, Administrator, your concern about potential politics getting into this, but potentially there's a good thing that could come from it. You never know what kind of dialogues and conversations might happen when people get to see each other across the hall. It may change people's opinions. So I'd be good with it.
Vice Mayor Woodward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is, I think it's an interesting concept. What I would ask, I think, just to make it as easy for staff as possible, is could we go ahead and identify some spaces that make sense and not just sort of have it, hey, come to us if you want to be in a specific area. Us go ahead and figure out where we have those spaces currently. And, as we expand or build out, that could change. But, just geographically in different areas that we have this office space here, here, here. I mean, it is a good opportunity for us to get some money from the state, and you would already know if we have certain places. And, east, and honestly, if you wanted to negotiate with one of the cities to get my district office in my district, that'd be great, but that's a different story altogether. But I do think that instead of having it like a free-for-all, tell us where you want to go, we could put a list together of what we have.
Administrator.
Thank you, and the Vice Mayor and I are on the same page today. The reason I hit my light, Madam Mayor, as we design this building, I believe we can carve out a potential half a floor and design the offices where that would be set for anybody that would like their office here in the county seat. We do not have, I would strongly recommend against finding district offices in specific locations all around the county. I think if this is our main government center, we do provide that space to have it. In the rare circumstance of Representative Gregory, who came in obviously on the special election, what I would like to then move forward with, there is a small space in the North County Courthouse where we can allocate for her for the remainder of her first term. But then if we put parameters around it, that we are going to set up this specific space here at the county seat, here at Government Center, and then if they all, whoever would like access or have an office here, we would have that for the future, rather than eat up extraordinary. And it really, even with, I just went through the exercise, and obviously so did Pat, with Representative Gregory, it did eat up a lot of our time. If we have something set, if we have a centralized location, to Commissioner Sachs's point and others, we would have them here in our government center. Thank you.
Thank you, Administrator. It sounds like a fair compromise. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To piggyback off what Commissioner Wise was talking about is the idea where people may think politics can get in the way. One of the things I want to let people know, and I used to have to deal with this when I was a legislator, even doing legislative updates to my municipalities, right? I had to remind people that once I got elected and I represented all these cities, when I come to do a legislative update, I'm not coming to do a partisan legislative update. I don't represent, or when you're elected, once you're elected, you no longer are running. You are elected to represent everybody. So there's no longer, when they announce us as commissioners, they don't say Democratic or Republican commissioner. Usually they just call us commissioner. We run on a ticket, or on a party, but when we get elected, we represent everybody in that district. Democrats, Republicans, independents. When they call our office, we don't check to see what you're registered to vote. We get to work, and we try to render assistance everywhere that's possible, and we show up. So and this is good for civics, so people understand that once you're elected, you're elected.
Is that all?
That's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay, well, thank you, staff. Thank you, everyone who helped make this a successful meeting. Have a great one. We're adjourned.